Tiffany here with Crafty Home. I feel like I'm constantly doing these life update videos, but here goes nothing. So I think I've alluded to it. I don't think on the channel because I don't think I've here's Fifi. Because I don't think I've done a video since it happened. But right at the new year, I ended up getting a concussion. So I ended up falling. I was trying to get around my son who had poop on his hands from his pull-up and to get wipes, and I was like going around him like, don't move, and the next thing I know, my head hurts and I'm on the floor screaming. I don't know exactly how I fell, if I tripped or if something gave out. I really don't know. But that night I was okay. My husband checked all like the signs on the CDC website to check off, make sure that everything was okay. It did hurt. I laid down. I wasn't feeling that great. Then the next day around noon, I started to do weird things. Like I threw a glass at the wall and was confused as to why that happened. Because I was trying to throw a stuffed animal out of the room and didn't realize I had a cup in my hand. But it wasn't just that I didn't realize I had a cup in my hand too. It was like once it hit the wall, I was very confused as to why that happened. If that makes sense. It was just weird. And then I couldn't talk. I could barely talk. I could talk very, very slowly. And that was all. Like my speech was really affected. So we went to the ER and I called my doctor and they said to go to the ER. So I went to the ER, waited there forever. And then they did a CT scan. They did all sorts of neuro tests. The ER doctor that night was great. She ran all sorts of tests, just like touch my fingers, do this, do that, remember these words, those kind of things. And then they had me, then they did a CT scan and it showed no brain bleed. So like if it gets worse, come back, but otherwise, follow up with a regular doctor. You might want to see a neurologist. They didn't really have much of an answer because it's just an ER. And our ER is not the best ER. So I went home, and then the next day, was it the next day or it might have been 2 days later? I think it might have, I can't remember now. So I tried to rest, and then the next day, like I said, or 2 days later, why can't I remember that? Anyway, so then that day by about noon or 2, I couldn't even get out a whole word. It was like super duper slow, really hard for me to think, and like I would be trying to say like my daughter's name and I would be stuck on the first part, and then maybe a minute later the second part would come out. It was so frustrating, and I started bawling because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even get a whole word out. So I messaged my husband who works in the back, and when my mom was over, thankfully I'd called her before my speech got really bad and she was bringing the kids lunch, and so I was trying to talk to my mom but I couldn't, so I messaged my husband and was like, can you bring out paper? And I was bawling, and so then anyway we talked and I ended up back at the ER. It was like, I think it was New Year's, and so the hospital or my clinic wasn't even open, so it was like my only choice was to go to the ER. I couldn't call my regular doctor yet. So I'm back to the ER, got the worst ER doctor in the world, in my opinion. He was haughty and rude. I'm in there, finally get back there, I'm barely able to get a word out, and I get on the bed, and like I didn't know how to turn the light out because it was some of the rooms there I know how. I've been there enough with my kids and my mom, but I couldn't figure it out, and so I laid down, and I had a hoodie on because my head was starting to really, really hurt. So I laid down and I took my glasses off and I covered my head with my hoodie, like the eyes, so that light wouldn't hurt me because it was really hurting. And he comes in, doesn't even ask how I'm doing. It's just like, hey, wake up. Just like, whoa, bedside manner, please. What's going on, and was just really gruff. And then to test my balance, he had me stand up. Didn't even, I have major back problems, so I'm standing up, and granted, some people do this, but usually they warn you. He didn't warn me. He made me stand up, close my eyes, and then all of a sudden he jerks me forward really, really, really hard, and it hurt. He was like, see, her balance is great. She's fine. That's what he told my husband. He was really rude. And he's like, well, we'll do another. I am not playing with you, kitty cat. I'm talking with my hands. So he's like, well, we'll do another CAT scan just to be sure, but I think you're fine, blah, blah, blah. My husband's like, she can't talk. You know, he's really worried for me. So anyway, they do another CAT scan, still nothing there. So he's like, well, there's something else I can do for you. Hopefully you'll get better. And he actually wrote on our discharge notes from the hospital, from the ER, hopefully you will get better soon. He sends me home, barely able to talk, and says, hopefully you will get better soon. Like, anyway, so we ended up making an appointment with my doctor, and I saw her, and she did all the tests, and she's like, I don't know, but it sounds like, you know, this is a pretty severe concussion or traumatic brain injury, and so you need to not be left alone. She knows I homeschool my kids. She's like, I don't want you left alone, not only for your own safety, but because, you know, you're raising these kids, staying home with them and teaching them. And she didn't want me to drive, obviously. I hadn't been driving since it happened. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And she referred me to a neurologist. So then I ended up getting referred up to a big city, Portland, Oregon. Or no, first I got referred to Eugene, and it was taking forever to hear back from them. And I was like, you know what? I think I could probably get in sooner up at OHSU, which is the medical hospital up in Portland. And so I was like, well, we'll try there. So I asked if they could send a referral there. Long story short, neither place will take me. Portland said that I didn't meet their criteria, whatever that means. And Eugene said that they can't take people who are on OHP from out of town. So I'm like, great. Because we have one neurologist in town, and he's not horrid, but he's not the best either. We want to go somewhere good. So then we tried Roseburg, which is another city, like an hour and a half from here. And thankfully, finally, I got into them. They called the next day, and I go at the beginning of March. But until then, I can't drive, and I'm not supposed to be left alone. I haven't lost my speech again. Sometimes I start to stutter if I get really tired, but I try to be really, really careful. And if I start to get tired, I make sure I eat something, so I have protein, because my brain's trying to heal, and then I lay down, and I try to just not do anything, you know, not make decisions for the kids. I just lay there. My parents have helped us out, and we have what we're calling a mommy sitter. She watches me and obviously helps a ton with the kids too. But so she's working for us. The mornings I do good, so she comes kind of in the afternoons. So she can be here until my husband gets off work, and helps drive me around if I need to. Helps with the kids. She's taking them to swim lessons, which is where they are right now, because that can get to be a bit much for me. I've gone once, and I want to try to go at least one more time. They're doing them all for the month of January, so I can get pictures of them, because they're just so darn cute. But yeah, so in the evenings I get dizzy, I get nauseous, I have to lay down. If I try to do too much on the computer, I can get really dizzy, and if I'm not careful, then I'll end up having to just lay in a dark room. So if I get really, really dizzy, if I've done too much stimulation, then I have to lay down and do nothing. So you'd think I'd read more, but I've listened to audiobooks a lot. Well, I'm still working on the same one, but I've been listening to an audiobook. I've never done that before, and this has been the perfect opportunity. So yeah, that's kind of life right now. We're making the best of it, and we'll just wait and see what the neurologist says in March. Even if I start to feel better, my doctor wants me to go, just because she wants to make sure that everything's okay, that, you know, there wasn't something there that made me fall and hit my head. You know, just want to get checked out, make sure my brain's a nice looking brain with no issues. Kind of scary. I try not to think about it too much, because your brain automatically goes to horrid places, and brain is a funny thing. And yeah, but not being on the computer is really hard for me. So obviously I still do stuff, because I have to blog, and I try to watch some YouTube videos and stuff, but I'm trying not to do as much, because it'll hurt. So yeah, that's kind of my update. So, you know, videos are hit or miss. It could just be because I'm having bad days or good days. It just, you know, depends. I don't want to try to talk when if I'm having a hard time. And then the other update for my channel is you may notice that the video quality is better. Hopefully it's a noticeable improvement. I got a new camera for Christmas. I'm gonna look at it and tell you what I got. I got a Nikon D3300 for Christmas. So this is the first video filmed on it. So hopefully it is turning out well. I was hoping to get one that had like a flip screen so I could see myself. But it didn't, and you know, I'm not sure if I would like that or not, just because I probably look at myself more than looking at the camera. So yeah. Anyway, I hope you're all having a good January, beginning of the year, and look for more videos from me. All right, chat with y'all later. Bye.